Imagine buying into like a $3 trillion technological gold rush, right?
Right.
Only to find out that 9 times out of 10, the incredibly expensive pickaxe you just bought, well, it snaps in half on the very first swing.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you want.
No, but that is the harsh reality of enterprise artificial intelligence right now. Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and I'm joined by our resident expert.
Hey, everyone. Really excited to get into this one.
So if you're listening to this, you're probably someone who wants to cut through the noise, right? You want to understand the bleeding edge of enterprise technology, but without getting bogged down in all the overwhelming jargon.
Exactly. And today, we have some really fascinating source material to help us do just that.
We do. We're looking at an April 2026 press release alongside a white paper excerpt. They're from a company based out of Irvine, California called EON AI Ventures.
Yeah, and they recently announced a new platform called EON AI Fluency.
Right. And these sources are shining a very bright light on a massive glaring gap in the modern business world. I mean, we are talking about the chasm between a company buying the most advanced AI available.
And actually getting their human workforce to use it properly,
Mhm.
which is a huge hurdle.
Totally. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore that gap. We're going to figure out how merging AI with augmented and virtual reality might just be the ultimate solution to corporate learning. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really understand the solution, we have to first grasp the sheer scale of the disconnect.
Right.
Because the global digital economy is just surging. The AI market alone is projected to contribute a staggering $3 trillion in value annually.
3 trillion with a T.
With a T. It's a global economic shift of tectonic proportions. But the data coming out of EON highlights a deeply sobering metric.
Which is?
80 to 90% of implemented AI solutions fail to achieve their full potential.
Wow, 80 to 90%.
Yeah, it's massive.
Think about that for a second, especially if you're listening right now. Just think about the expensive enterprise software subscriptions your own company pays for.
Oh, we all have those.
Right, the ones that no one in your department actually uses properly. You have all these buttons and advanced features, but everyone just relies on the same, 3 basic functions they learned on day one.
And that right there is the perfect micro example of what EON calls the gap between generic AI capability and true AI fluency.
Generic capability versus fluency.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
Organizations are successfully acquiring the capability. I mean, they have the software, they've got the hardware, the algorithm.
We bought the stuff.
They bought the stuff,
Yeah.
but they severely lack the fluency among their actual employees. In high-stakes operations, companies are failing to bridge the gap between an expert-level understanding of a system and the company-wide implementation of it.
So they have the tools, but not the transitional strategies to actually prepare their workforce to use them daily. It honestly reminds me of, well, imagine a company deciding they want to improve their sales team's travel time, right?
Okay.
So they go out and buy a massive fleet of million-dollar high-performance sports cars.
I'd like to work there.
Right. They hand the keys to the employees, pat them on the back, and say, go fast. But nobody on the payroll actually knows how to drive a manual transmission.
Right. That's a great analogy.
You have all this incredible, expensive leverage sitting in the parking lot, but you literally cannot use it. You have generic capability, but zero driving fluency.
And reading a PDF manual about how to drive a stick shift isn't going to stop someone from, grinding the gears into dust.
Exactly.
Which means, as industries integrate increasingly complex technologies, they really risk losing their critical leverage points within the digital ecosystem.
Yeah, because if you can't translate the tech into physical daily workforce action,
The investment is dead weight. This raises an important question. How exactly do organizations move beyond those fragmented, document-based training methods?
right, how do they actually keep pace with rapid technological advancements?
And that is exactly where EON AI Fluency steps in. Because those traditional manuals and flat training videos are failing to keep up.
So organizations are turning to spatial computing to embed knowledge directly into the workflows.
Yes. EON AI Ventures is backed by the leadership of EON Reality, who bring 25 years of experience in immersive learning and XR or extended reality solutions to the table.
25 years is a long time in the tech world.
It really is.
Yeah.
And they're utilizing spatial AI, AR, and VR technologies and scalable machine learning to build these high-impact learning environments.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because as I was looking through these specs, a big red flag went up for me.
Oh, What was that?
Well, I see AR and VR headsets, right? And I immediately think of the gaming world.
Ah, sure.
So if we're talking about a high-stakes, real-world operation like, say, repairing a turbine or managing a chemical plant, isn't there a huge risk of this just feeling like an expensive corporate video game?
It's a very common hesitation when people hear the letters VR.
Yeah.
But the engineering here focuses entirely on context-specific optimization. This is not some, low-poly simulation or vague extraction.
Okay.
High-stakes operations demand risk-free experimentation, but it has to translate flawlessly to the physical assets. Think about traditional training for complex machinery
Right. A mistake in the real world could mean millions of dollars in damage.
or severe injury.
Yeah.
But in a highly calibrated spatial computing environment, the workforce can physically interact with the exact scale, physics, and dimensions of their real-world tasks.
I can actually relate to this on a much smaller scale.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I tried to fix a leak under my kitchen sink last month by watching a YouTube tutorial.
How did that go?
Terrible. The video was totally flat. I couldn't tell how much pressure the guy was applying to the wrench or, the exact angle he was reaching under the pipe.
Right, because you lack spatial awareness.
Exactly. I lacked spatial awareness, and I ended up stripping the threading completely. A flat video just cannot teach a physical, three-dimensional task effectively.
And that lack of spatial awareness is the exact bottleneck spatial AI is designed to eliminate.
Okay, so how does it actually do that?
Well, to understand how it bridges that gap, we have to look at the mechanics of how the platform maps the physical world and tracks the human body.
Right, the nuts and bolts of it.
There are two major features that stand out in their architecture: action recognition and digital twin integration.
Let's break down action recognition first because the mechanics here are fascinating. This isn't just the headset looking at what's in front of you.
No, it's actively tracking your physical workflow.
Right. It relies on advanced sensing capabilities, right? Utilizing LiDAR and computer vision.
Exactly. LiDAR uses pulsed lasers to measure distances, and it creates a perfect millimeter-accurate 3D map of the room you're standing in.
Millimeter accurate. That's crazy.
It is. And when you combine that with computer vision algorithms, the system actually maps your skeletal structure and tracks your physical movements in real time.
So it's essentially the same motion capture technology they use in Hollywood blockbusters.
Right, to map an actor's movements onto a CGI character.
Yes, but here it's applied to a factory floor.
Precisely.
Mm.
If you are in the simulation repairing a complex piece of machinery, the system knows if your hand is 2 inches out of place.
Or if you reach for the wrong gauge.
Exactly. It identifies that skill gap instantly and provides a real-time feedback loop.
Like having an invisible master-level coach hovering over your shoulder.
That's a great way to put it. It stops you, highlights the error with a visual overlay, and corrects your posture or your choice before you proceed.
Okay, so that's the tracking. But what's fascinating is how that physical tracking interacts with the environments themselves.
Right, and this is where digital twin integration comes in.
Yeah, the white paper mentioned they've created over 10 million digital twins.
10 million. It's a massive library. And these are lifelike, mathematically perfect, virtual replicas of an organization's actual physical assets and systems.
So we're talking about everything from a microscopic circuit board to an entire offshore oil rig.
Exactly. And the fundamental advantage of training within those specific twins is zero disruption.
Zero disruption.
Yeah. You train your workforce to operate highly sensitive, complex systems without ever having to shut down your daily operations.
That makes total sense.
Right. You protect your physical assets while simultaneously allowing for spatially accurate remote collaboration.
So wait, you could have a senior engineer in Irvine, California, and a new hire in Tokyo, both standing inside the exact same digital twin of an aircraft engine.
Yes. The engineer in Irvine can literally point to a spatially accurate component, and the trainee in Tokyo sees that hand movement perfectly replicated in their own headset.
That is wild. They're optimizing the system together in real time, regardless of geographic boundaries.
Exactly. It completely redefines remote work for physical industries.
Okay, I get the digital twins, and I understand the motion tracking, and this is but a simulation is totally useless if the curriculum is wrong.
Very true.
Right. If my 40-year veteran mechanic retires, a perfectly rendered digital twin of an engine doesn't help the new kid unless the simulation actually knows the veteran's tricks.
Right.
How does the AI know that your hand is 2 inches out of place? Where's the system getting the baseline data for what correct actually looks like?
That is the core vulnerability of any training program.
Hmm.
And EON addresses it through what they call the knowledge injection framework.
The knowledge ingestion framework, it sounds incredibly sci-fi.
It does sound like something out of a movie,
Hmm?
but the actual mechanism solves a very real, looming corporate crisis.
The demographic cliff.
Exactly. We have a massive wave of older, highly experienced workers retiring right now.
And they have all this intuitive brain power. They know how a machine is supposed to sound. They know the specific quirks of a pressure valve.
And all of that knowledge is entirely undocumented.
Right, it's just in their heads.
So when those specialists retire, decades of institutional knowledge simply walk out the door. The knowledge injection framework is engineered to embed that critical domain expertise directly into the AI.
Okay, but how?
Well, the way they capture it is deeply practical. They don't just sit the veteran down and ask them to write a manual.
Oh, I bet they hate writing manuals anyway.
They usually do. Instead, they have the veteran put on the headset and actually perform the task.
Oh, they just do the job like normal.
Precisely. The system records all the telemetry. It tracks their eye movement to see where they focus their attention.
Wow.
It maps their hand placement, the sequence of their actions, even the slight hesitations before they turn a specific valve.
So the AI digests all of these spatial coordinates and behavioral blueprints.
Yes, and decision trees. And it builds a dynamic, interactive model based on that expert's exact physical workflow.
You are effectively downloading that senior mechanic's entire working brain directly into the company's central nervous system.
That's essentially what it is.
So when a brand new hire walks in on day one and puts on their headset, the AI can overlay the veteran's ghost hands right over their own.
Exactly. It guides them through the exact muscle memory required to do the job perfectly.
That is unbelievable.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the implications go far beyond just getting new hires up to speed quickly.
What else does it impact?
It is fundamentally about operational safety. This embedded contextual understanding delivers simulation-specific alerts and guidance within high-risk scenarios.
So it stops you from making the fatal mistake.
Right, you are capturing vital domain expertise before it ages out of the workforce and using it to actively protect your current employees from catastrophic errors.
And because this is an AI-driven platform, it isn't just a static playback of the old expert, right?
Not at all. The architecture includes AI-powered learning modules.
So the machine learning algorithms are actively processing your specific telemetry as you train.
Yes. It takes your user input, your interaction data, and your performance metrics, and it dynamically adapts the curriculum.
So if I continually struggle with a specific calibration step,
The AI recognizes that friction point. It alters the simulation to give you more practice in that specific area. It literally learns how you learn.
that's incredible.
Which brings us to the ultimate result of all these intersecting technologies.
Okay.
We have spatial computing environments mapped perfectly by LiDAR. We have action recognition tracking your skeletal movement.
And knowledge injection, providing that personalized adaptive curriculum.
Exactly, based on master-level telemetry.
Yeah.
So when an enterprise integrates this framework into their daily operations, the outcome is highly measurable.
And businesses run on metrics.
They absolutely do. And the metric EON provides is incredibly specific. The platform drives a measurable 5.2x improvement in efficiency.
Wow. 5.2x. So what does this all mean?
Right.
Let me just make this real for you, the person listening right now. Think about the core tasks you do every single day, the complex workflows you navigate, whether they're physical or digital.
Right.
Now imagine completing them 5.2 times more efficiently.
It's hard to even picture.
It is. We are not talking about a 20% bump in productivity here. We are talking about taking a 5-hour task and completing it in under an hour with higher accuracy.
Seeing a multiplier that high in enterprise technology is rare. Very rare.
Yeah.
But achieving that 5.2x multiplier relies entirely on the implementation phase.
How so?
Well, EON's strategy focuses heavily on identifying core workforce challenges first, and then designing those context-specific immersive environments to address them directly.
Okay, so you don't just buy the software and hope for the best.
Exactly. Dan Lajerskar, the chairman of EON AI Ventures, actually sums up the entire philosophy behind this shift perfectly.
What does he say?
He notes that digital transformation is not just about adopting technology, it is about preparing your workforce to harness its full potential.
Adopting technology versus preparing the workforce.
Yes.
It's just like buying the sports car versus actually teaching the driver how to use the manual transmission.
That is the ultimate value proposition. Adoption is useless without preparation. The advanced AI, the spatial computing, the 10 million digital twins.
They're all just underlying tools.
Right. The actual product being delivered here is the worker's accelerated time to competency.
The time it takes them to actually get good at the job.
Exactly. It's the transformation of a human being from an untrained novice to a highly fluent operator without ever risking physical assets or safety in the real world.
It really is a remarkable shift in how we handle human capability.
It's transformative.
I mean, we started this deep dive looking at a global digital economy flush with a $3 trillion AI market, but severely bottlenecked by a 90% failure to thrive rate.
Yeah, generic capability was proving to be a massive waste of capital.
But the solution requires stepping out of those flat, passive PDF manuals and into immersive spatial environments.
Absolutely. By utilizing LiDAR and motion capture style action recognition alongside that library of 10 million perfectly replicated digital twins.
Companies can allow for risk-free physical iteration. And through the knowledge injection framework, we can actively harvest the brilliant, intuitive expertise of retiring veterans.
We map their exact physical workflows.
And feed that wisdom back into the workforce through adaptive machine learning, resulting in that massive 5.2x efficiency boom.
We are witnessing a fundamental evolution in how enterprise knowledge is preserved and transferred. The era of passive consumption of information is ending, making way for active, guided physical immersion.
Which leaves me with a final thought I want to pass directly on to you, our listener, to mull over as you go about your day.
It's a big one.
It is. If spatial AI and knowledge injection truly become the new global standard, if we are perfectly capturing the physical expertise of past generations and having it fed to us in real time through precise AR feedback loops and invisible digital coaches.
Will future workers ever truly fundamentally learn a skill through their own trial and error?
Exactly. Or will we just become flawlessly expert at following the precise adaptive instructions of the digital twins we've built? If the system tracks your hand, tells you exactly when to shift, how to shift, and physically guides your posture to the stick.
Do you really know how to drive a manual transmission?
Or do you just know how to listen to the car? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the tools around you, and as always, keep learning.